Good day everyone, I am Clarice Lumanlan and for this video, we will talk about, as you can see beside me, we will talk about statistic as supporting ideas. So there are actually three supporting ideas that we can use, but for this video or for today, we will gonna focus about statistics. So the main objective of this discussion is to understand statistics and utilize it to support ideas and claims. So without any further ado, let us define on what is statistics. So when we talk about statistics, always remember that we are pertaining to numbers or any numerical data. However, how does statistics help strengthen our speeches? And why using statistic is so important? So statistics allows you to make your speech more convincing and more quantifiable. So the numbers can be used as a part of your argument or used to help support it. We can say that using statistics in our speech is really crucial, especially these days that we are bombarded with so much information and we are not sure if this information are reliable. So statistics in addition present precise and definite form, making it easier to make comparisons and conclusions. And finally, forecasting trends becomes simple with the use of statistics. So they say that numbers don't lie, but do you believe that? Maybe we can say that yes, but however, we must be aware that they can also be manipulated and distorted. So to get rid of this, we need to evaluate them to make sure that our claims are quantifiable and reliable. So we have three questions here that will help you on how to evaluate a statistics to make sure it is quantifiable and reliable. So the first question that we have here is, are the statistics representative? Ask yourself if does your sample match the population? So the purpose of sampling is to obtain a statistics that tells you something about a population. So a statistic is representative if it represents the attributes of a known parameter in the population. So always remember, statistics should be accurate and representative of what they claim to measure. So the second question that we have is, are the statistical measures used correctly? So with this question, we should always be familiar with the mean, median, and mode. So these are the common ways on how to summarize data correctly. So just like what I've said, we should always be familiar with the median, and mode. So when we talk about mean, it is popularly called as the average. The mean is determined by summing all the items in a group and dividing it by the number of items. So the next one is median. So it is the middle figure in a group once the figures are put in order from highest to lowest. So lastly, the mode. It is the number that occurs most frequently in a group of numbers. All these measures have the same goal to indicate what is typical or characteristics of a certain group of numbers, yet you see how different the results are depending on which measure you use. And finally, are the statistics from a reliable source? So, as I have mentioned earlier, numbers can also be manipulated and distorted. So, we need to make sure that our source of information is reliable and unbiased. So, fake information is so rampant today because people can easily manipulate and disseminate false information using different social media platforms. So, as a speaker, it is our role to disseminate facts and reliable information. So, you must be aware of possible bias in the use of numbers. All right, now that we are done with the three questions that we need to ask ourselves to make sure that our statistic is reliable, quantifiable, and correct, now let us move on with the six tips for using statistics. So, the very first tip is to use statistics to quantify your ideas. The main purpose of statistics is to give accurate, precise, and make your claims more quantifiable. This can be especially important when you are trying to document the existence of a problem. So use a large enough sample size in your statistics to make sure that you are using it accurately. So for example, if a survey only asks 4 people, then it is likely not representative of the population's viewpoint. So we must use a large sample size to make it more quantifiable. So the second tip is use statistics sparingly, meaning you don't have to always put numbers in your speech. So insert statistics only when they are needed, and then make sure that they are easy to understand by the audience. So use statistics that are easily to understood. So the third tip is identify your sources or identify the sources of your statistics. Just like what I've said earlier, again and again, always remember that numbers can also be manipulated and distorted. So as a speaker, we need to make sure that our sources are reliable. So we must use reputable sources for the statistics you present in your speech, such as government websites, academic institutions, and so on. Moreover, mentioning the sources of your statistics would make your speech more successful. So the fourth tip is explain your statistics. Of course, we also need to interpret and explain statistics. So statistics don't speak for themselves. That's why we need or they need to be explained on how did you come up with that answers. So whenever you are using statistics in your speech, think of how you can make them meaningful to your audience. So statistics is a topic that many people would prefer to avoid. So, when presenting a statistical idea or even using numbers in your speech, be sure to thoroughly explain them on what is the meaning of the numbers or what is the meaning of your statistics. So, moving on to the fifth tip, which is rounding off complicated statistics. So, as a speaker, we need to refrain from bombarding your audience with too many mind-numbing numbers. So rounding off numbers makes them simpler and easier to use and understand. Although they are slightly less accurate, their values are still relatively close to what they originally were. Now we are down to our last tip, which is use visual aids to clarify statistics. To clarify statistics. So it will also make your listener easily understand and comprehend your statistics by using visual aids. So interesting statistics build a good speech, and visual aids will be a big help towards attainment of a better understanding of the speaker and the listener. So in addition, visual aids can also increase the audience interest. And that's all for this discussion. I hope you've learned a lot from this topic that you may apply in your future speech to make it better and successful. Again, I am Clarice Tumanlan. Have a great day.